Welcome to the English department at TKU. We provide personalized care for every student. Our inspiring teaching empowers learners to excel. At TKU, we believe in AI-driven education. Our focus is on student success. We integrate ESG principles for a sustainable future. Experience the benefits of personalized learning. Enjoy customized support for every student. We empower you to achieve your academic goals. We help you unlock your full potential. Experience the future of education at TKU English, where AI innovation, digitalization, and ESG principles converge to create a sustainable learning environment.
Hi, linguistics class. Let's go over some key points from chapter 4.1, focusing on the basic concepts of morphology. First, recall your memory about the ideas of phonemes in the section of phonology. Phonemes are the smallest units of sound in a language. When we combine them, they form meaningful linguistic units at the phonemic level. This process is crucial because it allows us to distinguish between words. For example, the words pat and bat differ by only one phoneme, yet they convey completely different meanings. Next, we move to morphology, which explores the internal structure of words. Morphology examines how words are formed by combining smaller linguistic units. For instance, in the word unhappiness, we have 3 units: un, an element meaning not, happy the root word, and ness, an element that turns an adjective into a noun. Morphology is a fundamental subfield in linguistics. It helps us understand how languages build words, how new words are created, and even how language evolves over time. Studying morphology allows linguists to analyze word patterns across different languages and gain deeper insights into language structure. These concepts lay the foundation for understanding how words are formed and interpreted in any language. Now, let's move on to some examples and exercises to reinforce these ideas. Now, we will explore what constitutes a word and why words are fundamental to language and communication. First, words are central to how we express ideas and understand others. Whether spoken, written, or signed, words serve as the building blocks of language. Without words, complex thoughts and successful communication would be impossible. Second, words consist of both form and meaning. The form of a word includes its phonetic or written representation, while its meaning is what it conveys in a given context. For example, the word apple has a specific sound and spelling, but it also carries meaning as a type of fruit. In some cases, words can also have multiple meanings depending on context, such as bank, which can refer to a financial institution or the side of a river. Lastly, our ability to recognize and use words is supported by what is known as the mental lexicon. This is like a mental dictionary stored in our brains, where we keep information about words, their meanings, pronunciations, and associations with other words. When we hear or read a word, we quickly access this mental lexicon to interpret and use it correctly. In this slide, we will explore the 2 main types of words: content words and function words. Understanding the distinction between these categories is essential for analyzing sentence structure and meaning in language. First, words can be classified into 2 broad categories: content words and function words. Content words carry significant meaning in a sentence. They include nouns, verbs, adjectives, and adverbs. These words provide the core information in communication. For example, in the sentence, "The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog," the words fox, jumps, quick, brown, lazy, and dog are content words because they contribute to the overall meaning of the sentence. On the other hand, function words serve grammatical purposes rather than carrying independent meaning. These include prepositions, conjunctions, articles, pronouns, and auxiliary verbs. They help structure a sentence by connecting content words. In our previous example sentence, the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. The words, the over and the are function words because they establish relationships between the content words. One key difference between the two is that content words can stand alone as meaningful units, while function words typically cannot. For example, if I say dog, jump, quickly, you can still get an idea of what I mean. However, if I say the over and, the words alone do not convey a clear meaning, they only function within a complete sentence. We will distinguish between words and morphemes, two fundamental linguistic units that shape how we construct meaning in language. Words are the smallest independent meaning-bearing units of language. This means they can stand alone and still convey meaning. For example, words like cat, run, and happy are independent and do not require additional elements to be understood. On the other hand, morphemes are the smallest meaning-bearing linguistic units, but they are not necessarily independent. Words are composed of morphemes, but not all morphemes can stand alone. We classify morphemes into two types. Free morphemes. These can exist as independent words. For example, book, teach, and small are all free morphemes because they carry meaning on their own. Bound morphemes. These cannot stand alone and must be attached to another morpheme to convey meaning. For example, the plural marker in books or the prefix on in unhappy cannot function alone. They must be attached to a root word. To illustrate this further, consider the word unhappiness. It consists of three morphemes. Un, a bound morpheme indicating negation. Happy, a free morpheme meaning a positive emotional state. Ness, a bound morpheme that turns adjectives into nouns. By understanding the distinction between words and morphemes, we can analyze how words are formed and how language functions at a deeper level. We will explore affixes, which are morphemes added to words to modify their meaning or function. There are two main types of affixes, prefixes and suffixes. Prefixes are added to the beginning of a word and often alter its meaning. For example, adding un to do creates undo, meaning to reverse an action. Other common prefixes include re, as in rewrite, to write again, and mis, as in misunderstand, to wrongly understand. Next, we have suffixes, which are added to the end of a word and often change its grammatical function. For instance, the suffix ing in running turns the verb run into its present participle form. Similarly, the suffix in teacher changes the verb teach into a noun referring to a person who teaches. Both prefixes and suffixes play a significant role in word formation, allowing us to create new words from existing ones. For example, the root word act can be modified in multiple ways. React, prefix, meaning to act again in response to something. Action, ion, suffix, changing the verb act into a noun. Active, suffix, turning act into an adjective. In this section, we will discuss two key processes in morphology: derivational morphology and inflectional morphology. These processes play an essential role in how words are formed and modified in English and many other languages. First, derivational morphology is responsible for creating new words by adding affixes, prefixes, or suffixes to a base word. These affixes often change the meaning or grammatical category of a word. For example, by adding the suffix to the verb teach, we create the noun teacher, which refers to a person who performs the action of teaching. Similarly, adding un to happy creates unhappy, changing the meaning to its opposite. On the other hand, inflectional morphology does not create new words, but instead modifies existing words to indicate grammatical relationships such as tense, number, possession, or comparison. For example, the S in cats simply marks plurality, while the ed in walked shows past tense. These affixes do not change the core meaning or the word category. One important rule in English is that derivational morphemes appear before inflectional morphemes in word formation. For instance, in the word professionalism, the derivational suffix -al is added first, profession professional, followed by another derivational suffix, ism, professional professionalism. If we then add an inflectional ending, such as s, to indicate plurality, professionalism professionalisms, it appears at the very end. In this section, we will explore allomorphy, which refers to variations in the pronunciation or form of a morpheme depending on its linguistic context. First, what is allomorphy? A morpheme is the smallest unit of meaning in a word, but sometimes its form can change without altering its core meaning. These variations are called allomorphs. One of the most common reasons allomorphy occurs is phonological context. A well-known example is the plural morpheme, s in English. Depending on the final sound of a word, the pronunciation of s changes. It's after voiceless sounds, cats, cats. It's after voice sounds, dogs, dogs. Is after sibilant sounds, buses, buses. Another type of allomorphy happens in the context of weak and strong suppletion. Suppletion occurs when a morpheme changes entirely instead of following a predictable pattern. Weak suppletion involves slight irregular changes, such as by becomes bought or seek becomes sought in their past tense form. Strong suppletion occurs when words completely change their form, such as go becomes went or be becomes was or were, depending on the subject-verb agreement. Allomorphy is an important concept in morphology because it demonstrates how pronunciation and word formation adapt to phonetic and grammatical rules.